Good Monday morning, everyone. I hope you guys had a great weekend. It was really nice here. We had soccer and all kinds of good stuff going on. It's been a busy weekend, but a great one. And this morning I wanted to come on and touch on my reel this morning and also just remind you that this afternoon at 1:30 Eastern time, I'm going to be going live with Mobility Wall. Now, if you don't have a Mobility Wall, it's a great chance to jump on and check it out as a tool. It's really great for moms to have at home. You just pop it in the doorway and you're ready to go. We're going to touch on a lot of things more than just using Mobility Wall and talking about how energy stagnation in the body a lot of times comes from poor soft tissue health, and it comes from stagnation, and it comes from, not having good fluid transfer. And I'm going to talk a lot about different strategies beyond Mobility Wall, but then also how to use Mobility Wall as a tool to help to support energy within the body. And that all ties back into my reel this morning, talking about way back when in my 20s when I was training middle-aged moms, middle-aged women, and hearing them say all the time, man, you just wait till you're in your 40s, hon. You're not going to have the same cute little body, and you're going to have all these X, Y, and Z symptoms. And I thought to myself, you know what? Man, I just don't want to feel like that. There's got to be a reason why all these women are feeling just terrible once they hit age 40. Is it all in their mind? Are they doing something that's not correct? And they all had this long list of this used to be me symptoms, or this is my current situation. And there was so much overlap. And so even in those early days, I was trying to figure out how to not let that happen to me. So selfishly, I was very motivated how to make sure that wasn't going to end up to be me, because they were just miserable and they didn't look good. They didn't feel good. They didn't function well. And it was all circulating in their minds constantly. And it was always the conversation about how they looked and felt. And it was never, anything positive. And it was really a downer, because I thought, how am I going to prevent this from happening? So let's talk about some of the collection of things that I always saw in them. And if you're watching and some of these resonate with you, then, we'll also talk about what can we do now? And if you are a 40 plus woman, I'm 42, and you are not able to go back in time and reverse those things that you may have led you to where you are now, what can we do now? And guess what? There's a lot of things. So this is not all, like I say, doom and gloom. There are many things that you can do to support your body currently to prevent further decline or to prevent your current symptoms from becoming chronic symptoms. And then you're in a state of dis-ease management, which is not where we want to be in our lives, because it leads to poor energy, poor productivity, just poor quality of life. So here's some of the things that I constantly saw. Most of these women came to me and they said, man, I used to be skinny. Like, I used to never have to think about what I ate, what I wanted, or what I did. I didn't really exercise. I just ate what I wanted, did what I wanted. And I've been skinny my whole life. And that was a constant thought process with these women. Then all of a sudden, they hit age 40 and they've gained 30, 40 pounds and they have tons of cellulite on their legs, very low muscle mass. And it's like, where did this come from? Well, in those early years, I had no idea. And of course, it was total panic. I didn't want that to happen to me. But now, after years of study, I understand where it came from. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Most of them were rotating through diets, gaining and losing weight their whole life. So they tried this new diet and that new diet. Now, remember, 20 years ago, what was going on? It was all the low-fat craze. This was SnackWells. If you're old enough to remember SnackWells, the Fiber One, all those Franken foods coming out that we gravitated towards, because thinking that, man, this is the ticket to health. If I cut my fat out, then I'm going to be able to metabolize the fat I have, and not even thinking about what that is doing to the health of our cells. And where that really comes down to the health of the cell. If you have poor cellular health, you have poor health. You cannot achieve a better state of health if your cell is sick. And that's now looking back, I can just remember their faces. I can remember the conversation sitting on the leg press and talking about, gosh, why do my legs look like this? It's just bags of fat. And it was just poor cell health. And of course, they were eating all these different foods, all these Franken foods. And then the 100-calorie packs were coming out, and we were consuming those nonstop. And it was just nonstop fake food. Anything that had a label, anything that would fit into their 1,200 calorie budget until they couldn't take it anymore. And on the weekends, they went nuts. Or at night, when everybody went to sleep and the kids were finally in bed and they were completely wiped, they would just go crazy with the fat-free ice cream. Or, of course, the healthy, low-fat yogurt. Or something else that would just satisfy their energy depletion because they weren't able to access body fat for energy. So then the other common thread was they were constantly seeking to eat as little as possible every day. And that goes back to what I just said. It was just, how can I stay under my calorie needs every day? Let me look and make sure that this bag of 100-calorie popcorn is going to stay under my calorie needs, but not even thinking what's going to happen when I eat that popcorn. I'm still going to be hungry. In fact, I'm going to be even hungrier after eating just that popcorn because I have no protein and no healthy fat to satisfy my nutrient needs. And that's really important to remember, that it's not just about the calories, it's about the micronutrients as well. So most of these women, again, were trying to seek as little as possible to eat. And this was coming from dietitians that were telling them at that time, I can remember the dietitians talking 1,200 to 1,500 calories, maximum 1,800 calories. God forbid we ever go over 1,800 calories. And it was all about tracking the calories. This is back with maypyramid or the pyramid days, right? The early infancy of MyPlate, and really pushing these different concepts. And then most, if not all of them, were experiencing tremendous joint pain, soreness, stiffness, just felt terrible. They couldn't transfer their body from a seated position to an upright position without feeling soreness and stiffness. Now, what does that affect? It affects movement. The only time most of them got focused movement was in the gym. There wasn't other intentional movement throughout the day. If I requested them to have more participation in exercise during the week, it was met with resistance because they didn't feel good when they did it. And why didn't they feel good? Because they were trying to suppress calorie intake. The calories that they did take in, they weren't being utilized for energy because the body was in a state of stagnation and toxicity, because you're taking in all of these frankenfoods. Now, yes, this was 20 years ago, but it still stays true today because these same food products are still out there. We are still ingesting massive quantities of canola oil. We are still ingesting massive quantities of fake foods in an effort to read the label and stay under our calorie count or find our macro value that's going to help us lose weight. When really, it's not the calorie that we need to focus on initially, because it doesn't matter to me if you come in and you're eating 1,000 calories and you're not losing a pound. In fact, you're gaining weight. It tells me the health of your cell is terrible. There's stagnation in the body. There's toxicity within the body. And that has to come first for any energy production to come of it. You can't lose weight when your body is in a state of poor health. And this comes back, like I said, 20 plus years of listening to these women talk about it in these early stages. Just wait until you're 40. But really, it was brewing in their 20s and 30s when they were pushing it on, pushing their stress threshold, pushing their body to extremes from a stress perspective, not even just from an exercise perspective. I remember I used to be so skinny. And now I've gained all this weight. Well, it just didn't come on overnight, right? It's been brewing deficiency patterns, toxicity patterns, stagnation in the body. Most of them were constipated. You're not digesting your food. You're not releasing toxins from your body. You can't digest the nutrients coming in. Okay, so joint pain, soreness, stiffness. What does that do? That motivates us to not move. What does that drive? Further toxicity, further lymphatic stagnation. We don't often think about the lymphatic system until there's a major injury, or you have the C word, or you have what? You have all of a sudden a limb that's twice the size. Stagnation in the body, in the lymphatic system, happens early. It happened to me after I had my surgery. I'm going to touch on this today in the Mobility Wall Live and talking about how we can work on this now, because guys, it's 40 plus, it's not about macros 100%. For sustainable systems, it's about how do we bring the body into, that's not distracting, Madeline, thank you. How do we bring the body into a better place of function? All right. And then most of them had this incredible apathy for life. It was like, whatever, Then comes the acceptance. Then comes the normalization of symptoms. Then comes the, well, geez, I feel terrible every day anyway. I'm just going to have the wine and cheese and crackers at night. I'm just going to skip lunch because whatever, I feel the same all the time anyway. There's no drive, there's no motivation to do more, do better, do different, because there's no education behind how to do more, how to do better, how to do different. That's where coaching comes in, that's where support comes in, that's where your education comes in, because education and knowledge is empowerment. Once you know what to do to take care of yourself, just ignore the background. I can't blur her. So once you know what to do to take care of yourself, then you have the tools to be able to do it. And you have the tools to prevent this chronic decline, because even if right now you're looking at yourself and you're like, this describes me, it's not the end of the road. You can start now. You can start implementing strategies. So what do we do about this? Think about your food story. Where did that come from? Where do your patterns now come from? We all have different emotional connections to food. We all have different belief systems in food. Oh, organic is not even really worth it. My parents never really thought about that. Oh, it's important to have balance. We need to make sure that we are going to the fair, like we've got the fair here in town, and eating the fair food. And even though we feel like crap 90% of the time, oh, we need to make sure that we're not cutting out or definitely not depriving ourselves. Where is your food story coming from? That's a big root to this. How do you use food in your life? Are you using food to drive energy production, or are you using food to nourish yourself? Okay, we'll talk about Madeline's story in a minute. How are you using that food? So if we reframe it and think about food as our ability to create change in the body, right? Because everything you eat has to go through the lymphatic system. And if you're, I know, she's a good one, huh? Everything you eat has to go through the lymphatic system. And if what you're eating is toxin filled, then you are having to flush that through your system. And then all of a sudden, I wonder why I'm accumulating these pockets of fat around my body. I wonder why my body feels stiff and sore. I wonder why I'm exhausted all the time. And guys, it doesn't take 6 weeks of eating clean. It takes many other interventions. Everything from laughter to movement strategies to sunlight to anything we can do to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, to cleaning up the gut, that's a huge one, to soft tissue health. This is all different points that's covered in one-on-one coaching with me. But then starting to implement these things and do them consistently. So then thinking about, what brought you to where you are now? Where is your story coming from? Where did you start? Where in your world did things start to go downhill, and then all of a sudden it was normalized? Like it became just who you are. What brought you where you are? Think about where the cycle began so you can know how to break it, because it's important to break the cycle, because guess who else is watching us? Me. That's right. We have lots of little people watching us, and I know that you all as mothers would never want your kids to go through what you are possibly going through. I know I don't want my kids to ever go through what I went through. So wouldn't this education not only behoove us, but also our role as mothers, so we can model to them, especially our daughters, how to really take care of ourselves, truly take care of ourselves, and earmuffs on to social media pressures, diet culture, all these other things that don't make sense from a longevity perspective. And then what's keeping you currently from establishing a sustainable system that's allowing you to stay consistent with your habits and put these strategies in place on a day-to-day basis? Because once you have that, then you can create intercepts. Because that's what it's all about, is how do we put our finger on what's keeping us? Is it our mindset? Is it time? Is it knowledge? Is it too many different things, options that we don't know which option is for us? Is it's too many things going on with us and we have no idea where to even begin? So if you know your path and you can identify your starting points, then you have a sustainable strategy. And that's, again, where a coach comes in and helps you to block out the shiny object syndrome, block out the things that don't make sense for you for long-term progress, and helps you stay focused on your principles, your strategies, the things that you need to do to stay consistent to get to your goal, which all of us, our goal is to feel good every day, to function really well, to have stable moods, to not be interrupted by symptoms, constant symptoms, and to wake up and know exactly how we're going to function for that day. And you know what? If we don't function 100% and we have symptoms come in, to not freak out and know how to handle them and know what strategies need to come in place, and also understand our bodies and know that we're cyclical. We're not like going to be on an even keel every day, but knowing that we can manage that and support it. So this is what the coaching process brings you. This is what the stability that it brings into your life. This is where the support system comes in. That it's, like I said in my post this weekend, I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not here to like add a girl. I'm here to help you get back into the game. Now today on this Mobility Wall Live, again, if you don't have a mobility wall, let me just show you mine. It just goes in the door frame. So I've got it up really high so people won't hang on it. But it's a really affordable tool. I'm going to go through how to use it. If you've ever used a foam roll, it's different than a foam roll because it's about, you're in upright, so you have a lot of different functional capacities with it. And then you're also able to create upward pressure and inward pressure. So those of you that are in fitness kind of understand that thought process. You will also be able to win a travel bag. So if you do purchase one, the price point's like right around $125. So I'll tell you, it's been a great investment, and a lot of my clients have them as well, because then it helps us to create that change in our soft tissue. So if you're not able to jump on into the live, which I hope you can, because then you can ask me questions directly about your situation, or I can demonstrate different things, and then you can go back and access them once you do get your mobility wall. You can get on their Instagram page and kind of look at it if you want to research it and see what it's all about and learn about it, because that's just another tool. Because remember, like we talked about earlier, stagnation in the body, tissue stiffness, poor lymphatic flow, poor fluid transfer is all coming into the roots of dysfunction. Think about when you're stiff and sore. I know for me, I'm tired, I'm less likely to want to be motivated to move and do things. So that's my first intercept. If at the end of the day I start feeling stiff and sore, I get on my mobility wall and it creates an immediate change. And you'll have to feel it to understand it, but it's legit a great tool. There's a lot of vibration devices and things out there which are also great, but I just really find that the mobility wall is, here we go, significantly more effective, significantly more effective than the vibration devices. So Madeline is home today because she had a runny nose this weekend, and now she has to get a COVID test this afternoon.
And now I'm not going to do it.
So she's home for the day, and hopefully you won't see her on the Mobility Wall Live, but maybe. All right, you guys always reach out with questions. I'm going to jump off and...
I want to show you my monkey card.
Okay, why not? Yeah, and this is why our walls look like they do. Very good. Oh, yep, that's great. Okay, everybody give her a hand. Okay, all right, we'll see you later. Hopefully I'll see you this afternoon. The link is in my bio. Okay, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Wasn't that great?